What's going on, guys? This is Rucker with Level One, and I'm here to bring you another projector review, and one of which I think it's changed the way I view projectors at home forever. XGIMI has been around for quite a bit, and they've been doing a lot of consumer level products and projectors, being able to bring really reasonable prices with really sustainable picture quality and stuff in their projectors. But they've been hitting the market running with trying to get into North America. And this one in particular is meeting a bunch of different demands. And this is stuff that we have not seen before from other projecting companies. What if you take high-end visual quality from other projectors, bring it to a more affordable consumer level, and then round it out with a packaging where it has a form factor which can be customizable within a home? What you get is not only the projectors they've had someone in the past, of which they've obviously gotten into the laser projector game and portable projector game, but combining all those things together, you have the Horizon Ultra. Now, the Horizon Ultra is a 4K HDR projector, and emphasizing on the HDR, not only does it have high dynamic range, but it's the first ever regular long throw projector with Dolby Vision in it. And I'll talk about why that's very important in just a minute. Now, this has a dual light technology, laser and LED, to be able to deliver if the visuals and the actual light and lumens. That being said, it has 2300 lumens, one of the brightest for XGIMI, and one of the brighter that we've seen across these kind of projectors. It also has Android TV 11. We'll talk about all that other stuff. One of the biggest important things and what's kept my eye on the XGIMI projector line is their ISA technology. And that's their intelligent screen adaptation. Now, this is 3.0. What that ends up doing is giving you a suite of different ways of which it does things automatically and taking into account the different elements that you have going around in a house, dedicated room, apartment, all these things. Now, obviously, you would think some of the big boy projectors has different space allocation in mind. Some are only for dedicated theater rooms, need blackout curtains, the whole thing. Some are made for daylight, some are made for gaming, and some are meant for smaller spaces. But for each one of those, there's a caveat that which something is missing. And I feel like the Horizon Ultra is solving a lot of problems that will let you do things versatile that I haven't done before. And it's made me do things completely different here. So what the ISA technology comes with is being able to do auto keystones. I'm going to talk about in a minute why that's so important. And then it lets you do other things like eye protection, being able to adapt to the different walls that there is. So all that is actually very important to this projector and what XGIMI is doing in general. So I'm one that likes to have a dedicated setup, 120 inches, ALR and ambient light rejection screen, lots of different things. It absorbs light very, very well. And with different lights and things set up, it's like a really, really crazy cool home theater setup. But I didn't want to necessarily try that out initially with that. Found out from several testings from before that this with the ISA technology will let me do things with auto keystoning, which will allow me to put it in different places and it'll remap how it's shaped and where it is, know the wall, and then just give me a perfect square. Now with the lumen levels and being able to do that, it's allowing me to be able to put this in places where I just don't necessarily need a screen. I could just throw this on the wall. So that's what I ended up doing. I put it in our bedroom, which fortunately that there's a white wall, and testing it out, didn't know how it was going to go, putting it on a nightstand next to the bed, auto keystone it. I was able to get anywhere between 100 to 110 inches on the wall pretty perfectly, as you can see, with a little bit of which, I needed to tweak and stuff like that. Very simple in its menus, being able to do with different adaptations. So auto keystoning manual, and then being able to arrange what the color sense is. That's also part of the ISA, which will let me screen adapt and know if the color on the wall is white, if it's a brown, if it's another color, and it'll reorient and give you differences in terms of its gamut color so that things are not washing out per like maybe a pink wall, another color other than white. And so you'll get a really clean red color when it comes to what you're watching. So you're not missing any of the color accuracy at all. It's pretty crazy because what it would have taken me like 1 or 2 hours on a regular screen, hell, it was doing that with the Aurora 4K that we reviewed, which you can definitely check out because that has an actual different audience in mind. So for those that's looking for a ultra short throw projector, check on the main channel so that you can see that review as well compared to this review and see where you land. But having said that, what would have taken us 1 to 2 hours took us nearly like 10 minutes to set up. I am a person that wants to have things very perfect. So, while I will probably set up at some point some sort of screen that it kind of houses where the picture lies, it really is not necessary. And if anything, I'd almost recommend if you get a really clean wall that's just like huge, you can use this projector perfectly. It looks good. One of our biggest gripes, and it's just something that's a little bit harder to fix, and it's something that like you can necessarily get used to. There is a overbloom of light effect. But basically, think about it as there's a box of which to create the effect of having the projector in any other direction other than straight on. It has to sort of create a bounding box of where it lies, and then there's a picture. The picture is within that bounding box. So what there is a hue of light that you see when you're obviously looking at some of our B-roll that is around the image. The image itself is so bright that unless you're in a really, really dark space, it doesn't really come up all too much. And at some point you kind of train your eye and get used to it or whatever, especially when you're seeing the visuals become so crisp and clear anyway. But it is something to note, especially if you are going to get a screen that you're going to see this overblown of light. The more straight on you have the projector, the less of the light you get. But that's just what it does, so that it gives you options to be able to size in different ways, keystoning. It's giving you that bounding box. And we wish that, hopefully in the future, the technology gets better where that light sort of dims until it's nothing. But I understand the technology, which within the lens, it's not giving you just that square where it's just creating that. It has to sort of create an overview, and then it's within that box that it's doing it. So understandably so. And one of the big things, obviously, to our audience, we tried a lot of gaming on this. Now, what they have is the display mode, which can be changed cinema and stuff like that. And they have a game mode within the display, which actually does give you a pretty good latency depending on what you want to do. So we are playing everything from just regular first-person shooters, single-player games and stuff, just doing things, with friends. That was all fine. When you're playing in a more competitive setting, if you want to try to do things in a more, in a more competitive level, or ranked, or, playing online, that's when you want to, consider doing the low latency gaming mode. Now, the issue with the low latency gaming mode, and not to say issue, but what ends up happening is that that's really going to count that if you have the projector straight on, so in the middle of any space that you want to actually see the screen, that'll be the perfect setup to do so. Because it ends up turning off all the features of which being able to auto keystone it, having it on the side and all that. So it can give you anywhere between under 14 mm so that you can play in a low latency setting, which is actually great. We were able to test this out because our specific setup wasn't set for that, but we were able to test this out for a bit, and I can tell you that it works very well in this low latency setting. So what you can end up getting is a really, really big screen on a wall, where you would normally have some sort of TV. It wasn't anywhere near that size, and you get pretty low latency, have a killer time with friends, all that other stuff. So that's definitely something that I would recommend. But for those not playing that competitively, or not taking it too seriously, playing single player or whatever, then the gaming mode from the display is perfectly fine to do so. One of the bigger things to mention too with the projector, that was first one long regular throw projector that has Dolby Vision. Now, while some things, okay, that's another form of HDR and high dynamic range and stuff, it is a very important thing. It's something that I've waited a good amount of years to have in a projector in this caliber. And let me tell you, the color accuracy in that is almost second to none. I've seen lots of projectors, 1 or 2 of our big boy projectors that I use on the daily has really, really great color accuracy. The Dolby Vision, being able to get frame by frame, high dynamic range, having a certain color range accuracy of which, Dolby needs to certify. All of that looks really good, and it makes it stand out from any other projector that we use. Whether it comes to gaming, we've done things on Apple TV Plus, we've done things on 4K physical media. It's been really great seeing how crisp the picture is and how accurate the color is. It's really amazing to see, and I hope that this continues on in the future. And it's just something that I've just always wanted, and now I can see that it makes the hugest difference. Now, some of the negatives here, I wish that the projector was perfect. And honestly, it's almost near perfect, but there are a few things that, you actually have to make sure that it's not the most necessary for you, or things, or our natural advice of which to take things, so that, you have this information early, and it is, it helps you in your decision on getting the projector or how we overall just felt. So one of the things is, while it has Android TV 11, the operating system is probably much slower than we thought it would be. It sticks a lot. So what ends up happening is that depending on your commands, you're pressing them, it ends up being able to it all will rush in at some point, and the operating system is pretty slow as you're navigating. To me, and to a lot of people, the problem is solved by just having some sort of Chromecast, Fire Stick, Roku, your Xbox, your PlayStation, all that hooked up for your media stuff. Us specifically, we loved using our Xbox. Obviously, you have a lot of the Dolby, you have a lot of the Dolby options, so that you know what you're getting, and being able to use the settings from there and stuff like that. So everything looks good out the gate and everything from there, and that's perfectly fine. The other thing that's interesting is that they advertise it as a long throw projector. Now, the messaging here is a little weird because I don't want people to be deterred if they have sort of a regular space. If you're working with things long throw suggests that anything above 15 feet is what you would need, which in one of our spaces, we do have that, something around 18 feet to work with. At that point, you get something around 200 inches for this, which I think is supposed to be around the max, which is insane, keeping all the features true and it looking really, really good. I have about 14 feet to work with in the bedroom, which this was our setup, being the XGIMI being so versatile. And that gave me 110 to 120 inches. So regular throw, a little bit shorter. I think you're going to be able to get a really crisp image. So hopefully the terminology sort of changes a bit. We do know that, Dolby requires certain things so that, depending on how it's priced, what the technology is going in, and to get the certification, they have to have, certain phrasing. So that's why we know that the long throw is in there as well, but it's a regular long throw projector. That's just something to keep in mind, to not deter people from having a smaller setup and not being able to use it. You'll be able to use it just fine. Like we said earlier, if you don't have the projector straight on, the overblow of light, we wish that's handled better. We've seen it with other XGIMI projectors. I haven't really seen it in other projectors, before this. I know a lot, the ISC technology is just one of those things that's, they're sort of using, which is very great. It's a great system, and I hope that they continue to do that in the future. This is 3.0, so we're hoping 4.0, 5.0, they're able to get, that sort of overbloom of light dimmer and dimmer until somehow maybe it's not there. But it's still a great step. It's just one of those things that it's for me to catch my eye, I see it, and hopefully it just gets better. Crazy enough, there's not a lot of options to which to mount the thing. So we don't have a lot of ceiling mount options for the projector. And then even mounting projectors with a stand. There's a stand that's probably the height of a nightstand, maybe. Depending on the orientation, that doesn't necessarily work. Even our current setup, our feet kind of hit the end of the bed. And so it can turn on the eye protection, which we totally understand for people that are crossing through. We've tested it a bunch of times, but at some point I end up having to turn it off once we're set and we're just going to be watching a movie and stuff like that. So just a pillow doesn't randomly turn it off and stuff. So obviously if there was some sort of nightstand for even a table, or a stand that gets higher, or even ceiling mount options, that would alleviate a lot of the problems. And then lastly, I think one of the things is the Netflix issue. I know that they are working with them. It's something that's going to happen in the future, but it's not a native support. So even with the instructions on how to end up downloading Netflix, you don't necessarily have your 4K options and stuff to do so. You have to go through a whole thing with the menus and try to figure it out yourself of like how to get 4K off of it. And then even how you're working it, sometimes the Netflix can mess up and you would have to delete it and download it again. Again, best option is to just have your own Roku Fire Stick gaming console to free all your media needs, and that alleviates that problem as well. Closing out, I am pretty blown away at what this projector is able to do. This is definitely going to be a daily driver. I will be putting this probably head to head with other projectors in the space, when we start to test it on some of our more dedicated room setups. At $16.99, really aggressive on the price with something that has Dolby Vision and a lot of the features, Harman Kardon speakers. So it even has decent speakers out the box. Obviously, you're gonna want to connect this to the soundbar and stuff as well, but a lot of cool features that it has. There's little things here and there which they can improve. It's amazing on the price. It's amazing on the picture quality, the color accuracy, the form factor. We love that it just kind of seems like a decent looking centerpiece that comes down, slides down, and you're able to see the projector lens. So it's not even like it needs to be, clean necessarily and stuff like that, since it'll auto open and close. Hopefully in the future, there's more mountable options. And honestly, right now, stay away for the Android TV until they update it. They're saying that's coming mid-September. So hopefully we'll see an update with that and that'll smooth that along. Otherwise, huge recommendation on this projector. One of our favorites that we reviewed in a good while now. And we'll be bringing more to you with this kind of projector, more gaming projectors, especially with the new setups that we have going on. Definitely like, subscribe, let us know what you think of the XGIMI Horizon Ultra. And just seeing where the XGIMI wants to go in the future with this. We're hoping that they get more aggressive on things. Maybe we see an 8K projector, maybe we see other things, but subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you think. We'll be bringing more to you. This is Remy with Level 1. Catch y'all later.